What is up, you guys? Welcome to the Ryder podcast. This is your host, Cristopher Zamora. Welcome to another episode. So today, I want to speak to you about the movie called Renfield. This movie came out probably like a month ago, I believe, on the cinemas. And I have to say, this movie is actually pretty funny. And I liked it. It was a very good movie. I mean, it was okay. I'll at least give this movie a 7 out of 10. But it's very enjoyable. The actors include Nicolas Cage, Nicholas Hoult. I don't know why they actually got both actors like the first same name, but whatever. It still worked for them too. And we also have the cop. Her name is Aquafina. That's her stage name, supposedly. I've never actually seen her before other than the movie Shang-Chi. She came out on with the MCU. That's like the only movie I have seen of her. And I have to say that she did a good job playing the role as the cop as well. You know, the fighting scenes in this movie actually did remind me of Kick-Ass. Yeah, like the fighting scenes they have for Kick-Ass, it was somewhat the same thing for Renfield. I think probably they might have gotten the same like choreographers for that, like to make the fight scenes. And the camera movement actually went very well. I wasn't really expecting this movie to be that fun, but it was to me. I wasn't really expecting that much blood. But since this is a vampire movie, yeah, yeah, there was a lot of blood. Yeah, it was good. It was a good one. The story goes is that Renfield is a servant to Count Dracula. And like the thing is, Renfield needs to give bodies to Count Dracula so he can feed on them. And Renfield has been doing this for years. He's been doing that not just for years, but for decades. They've been alive for a very long time. And he had to abandon his family because he chose to serve Count Dracula. He turned him into, I believe, a vampire. But in exchange, he had to become a servant to him. And throughout this whole movie, his whole purpose is to get away from him as fast as he can. But Count Dracula, he doesn't let anybody go that easily. And so he threatened like the people that he cared about, like the people that were in his, I believe, therapy group. He went after them and killed them all. Yeah, it was crazy, man. If that's the main thing that you always see in the trailers, if you have seen the trailers. I'm getting into spoilers, guys, so if you've never seen Renfield, I do recommend you to please go see the movie before you actually keep continuing listening to this podcast. And like there's the cop as well. I kind of forgot her name in the movie, but let's just say the actress Aquafina. That's her stage name. Well, her story is that supposedly her father, they got murdered being part of the police department, and she is trying to live up to his expectations, how he was very respected on the police force, and she wants that as well, or maybe even better. She wants to help people just like her father, but her father got killed. We never really did get to know who actually killed her father in the movie. And it didn't really mention if Count Dracula was the one that actually fed on him. No, nothing was connected to that. But the thing that connected Aquafina's character and Nicholas Holt's character, Renfield, well, it was because they were at a bar and like supposedly Renfield, he was looking for people for Count Dracula to feed on. Count Dracula mentioned to him that he wanted a bus full of cheerleaders and he wanted to eat them all and feed on them, you know. They were at this place and this social gathering, and the lady cop, she was there as well looking for a criminal, like a very well-known criminal in the city that they were in. And so things happen, and the criminal that they were looking for, he was there, but he wasn't alone. He brought his own army to try to take her down. The thing that Renfield actually liked about the lady was that she stood up for herself. Like, she did not let anybody tell her what to do. And I think that's what inspired him to say something to Dracula that, no, man, you had to leave me alone. I don't want to be a part of your cult. That's what inspired Renfield to say stuff like that to Count Dracula. But still, Count Dracula still made him do things that he did not want to. And so the thing is, the only way that he can stop him was he had to kill him. He had to take him down. He was a very wanted man, Renfield. He was already wanted around the place because since he was helping the cop at the social gathering, he mostly took everybody down, like from the criminals. And you know, the whole organization of full of criminals, they were tracking him down, and also the cop. And now both of them, they were wanted from the organization. And the crazy part is, the crime family were now controlling the police force as well. And so the thing is, the lady cop, she was now no longer working with the police force. All of them were on the crime family's payroll except her. And the only person that she can trust at this point was Renfield himself. Count Dracula actually met with one of the sons of the crime family. And so Count Dracula and this crime family, they were already working together. And because they both wanted one thing, they both wanted control, and they wanted everybody to fear them on this city, maybe even the world as well. So both the crime family and Count Dracula, they both came in an agreement, and now they were working together. Renfield and Awkwafina's character both needed to come together to take them down. The crazy part is, Renfield, he gets his powers by eating bugs. That was kind of random, but it's whatever. He gets his powers just like that, but he's very powerful once he actually eats one of those bugs, because when he was already cuffed up, he ate one of the bugs that was close to the apartments that they were on. He kind of turned like almost Super Saiyan in a way. Like all the police people that they were after them, he took them all down. Like he was cutting their limbs and stuff. Damn. It was crazy. And while this was happening, there was like, they were making jokes, and you know, it's like a comedy horror in a way. And that's how I can describe this movie. It's a nice movie. I did enjoy it, and probably I might watch it again and maybe in a few months or so. It's a very enjoyable movie. And once they actually took them down, now it was actually time to take down Count Dracula and the crime family. They went to their hideout, and you know, I always wonder why wasn't Renfield actually affected by the sunlight, since I think he was already a vampire. That's what I didn't get. Maybe they might have gotten that wrong, or he's just a different type of vampire that, since he was serving Count Dracula for decades. Maybe he was like the only vampire that he wasn't infected until the rest of the crime family, they actually did turn into vampires as well. Since they were still brand new into becoming vampires, they did not really utilize their powers as much as Renfield did. Those mosquitoes that he took gave him power, and the only one he really had trouble with was the second main villain in the movie. He was like a little bit difficult to take down, but at the end he actually did beat him. And so for the lady cop, there was one scene when they separated. She actually met Count Dracula. Like, she couldn't believe that Renfield was actually telling the truth. Like, the part where on the trailer said that Renfield was actually the person that was actually getting the Postmates for Count Dracula. It was a very funny line on the trailer, but they did not use that same line on the actual movie. I don't know why they didn't keep that same line. It was funny. It was a funny line. Oh, and also the thing is, the lady cop actually went to Count Dracula and the crime family because they took one of her friends. That was like a major key as well. I almost forgot about it. Her friend was taken away from her, and she had to save her. And the thing is, her friend was actually dead, but like the only way that they can revive them was to use Count Dracula's blood. And now the final battle actually did happen. Renfield versus Dracula. It really wasn't much of a battle because since at first it looked like Count Dracula was overpowering Renfield, but at the end, Renfield actually gave him a good beating. He punched him very hard, and like he was bleeding all over the floor. But Count Dracula would not have gone down without a fight. And so the lady cub actually made a circle where the supernatural cannot escape. And the funny part is the circle that she made was actually created by cocaine. Yeah, it was funny because I seen Supernatural and they actually used just salts, and it was funny because she used cocaine to make the circle so Count Dracula wouldn't run away from anything. So yeah, that was very funny. And now, since Count Dracula was actually trapped there, it was time to actually take him down, to beat him with everything they got, with all the weapons. And Renfield, he was like narrating, they tried everything to take him down. And also, they cut him into little pieces, and he did mention that it was going to take him a long time for him to regenerate. So maybe that could be a hint that there might be a second movie, but I don't really know. I feel like this should be a one-off movie. And also the blood of Count Dracula is very powerful. They actually did brought back all the people that Count Dracula actually killed. Like all the people that were in the therapy group for Renfields, they brought them all back. And they also brought back Aquafina's character, sister, back. So yeah, his blood is very powerful. Maybe there's something else that Renfield can use that blood on, but it's very powerful. We don't know. Maybe there could be a sequel to the first movie. But I don't know. I feel like this should be a one-off movie. It's a nice movie. I did enjoy it. Like I said, I do give this movie a 7 out of 10. And I do recommend this movie. If you're just feeling bored and one day, just put on this movie. You're going to have a good time. I guarantee you. And now let's just switch gears, guys. There's two major upcoming fights that are coming out tonight on Saturday. I usually do record my podcast on Saturdays, and maybe by the time you're listening to this podcast, the fights will already been done. If you're hearing this now, I'm making a prediction on who will win. It's going to be Canelo versus Ryder. Well, let's just say Canelo has only lost twice in his career, in his professional boxing career. And John Ryder, he has only lost 5 times. Usually, people will go with the person who has lost the least to win. While that is kind of is true, you can't just say that because maybe the other opponent has face to face other harder fights than the other person. But on this one, man, I probably believe that maybe Canelo is going to retain his titles. I saw something today on Twitter that Canelo actually made a statement that if he loses this fight, then he was going to retire. I don't know. There could be one or two things why he said that. One, because probably there is no hype for this fight, and people probably think that this is going to be an easy fight for him, and that he's going to beat this guy with a knockout. And the second option is maybe he is just getting old and probably he just want to do something else in his life. Well, I don't know, man. I saw Teddy Atlas talked about this in his podcast. He saw the Triple G fight, the trilogy fight they had. In his words, Teddy Atlas mentioned that he saw that Canelo was very slow and he didn't seem like he was the same guy. That's what happens if you're in the fight game for a while. You slow down, supposedly, and you're kind of not the same person anymore. Like, you're not in your prime, is what he was trying to say. Maybe so, or maybe not. Canelo is 32 years old, and I still believe, like, probably he still has a good 2 to 3 years left until probably he won't be the same anymore. And that's what Teddy Atlas said about Canelo. He believes that he's just getting old and that he's not in his prime anymore. While I do respect Teddy Atlas' opinion, I still believe that he still has a couple of years left until he's actually not the same Canelo. And I saw an interview with John Ryder. This guy has lost to 4 fighters that Canelo has actually beaten. And this guy seems like a humble guy. He actually has the chance to beat Canelo if he can. That would be a really huge shocker if Ryder actually did beat Canelo. I'm not saying it won't happen, but damn, I will be so surprised if that actually did happen. Like, the only reason why I saw Canelo versus Bivol, it was because one is Canelo, because he has all the titles, and second, it was because the guy he was fighting, he was an undefeated guy. He has never lost to anybody. And probably I thought, could this guy actually beat him? And we already know what happened on that fight. He actually did. He was outboxing him more. I think probably it might not have been the weight class. He was just a better boxer than him. Yeah, I think that's what actually did happen for Bivol against Canelo. If everything goes as planned, like if Canelo actually beats Ryder, that's going to be the next fight for him, for Canelo. He's going to rematch Bivol to see if he actually can take him down. It was going to be an interesting fight for Canelo if he can actually do it, man. I think the fight should actually take place on 168, where Canelo actually has all the titles. Like, Bivol should go down to his weight class to see, oh man, if Bivol actually beats him, he takes all his titles. Damn, that will be insane, man, if he actually does that. And Canelo would have lost 3 times in his career. But still, man, most of the greats have only lost like 5 times. Like, say Muhammad Ali, Mike Tyson. I think I saw Oscar De La Hoya. I think he lost 9 times, but he has had a great career overall. And now let's go to the second fight I'm probably going to see right after the Canelo fight. This one I'm not really familiar with, but it seems like there's a lot of hype to it from the MMA community. It's going to be Aljamain Sterling versus Henry Cejudo. I really don't know much about these guys, but I just know that Henry Cejudo actually did came out on Mike Tyson's podcast. He was also a double champ. The only other people I know of that has hold the titles on MMA like at the same time was Conor McGregor and Amanda Nunes. He's another one who has actually holded both titles. And supposedly Henry Cejudo hasn't fought for almost 3 years. This is like kind of the same story with John Jones. He has been gone for quite a long time, and we already know what happened with John Jones. He actually defeated the guy and just became champion. Just like that. That can actually happen again if Henry Cejudo still has it. But we'll see, man. For that fight, I'm leaning for probably Henry Cejudo. Yeah, I'm buying in the hype. Let's see if he can actually do it. For that fight, Henry Cejudo is winning. And for Canelo versus Ryder, Canelo is retaining his titles. Those are my predictions, man. And let's see what happens. Was I wrong? Well, we'll see. We'll talk about it on the next podcast. Well, guys, I think that is it for this podcast. Hey, thank you so much for listening. If you guys enjoyed it, make sure to actually follow it on wherever it is you're listening to it. If you're listening to it on YouTube, make sure to subscribe to the channel. Same name is the Rated C Podcast, guys. If you don't know, I have the same name as for the YouTube channel. And also make sure to recommend it to one of your friends or neighbor that actually enjoys talking about combat sports or horror. Maybe they will enjoy the podcast as much as you do. Anyways, guys, that is it for this podcast. Again, thank you so much for listening. As always, guys, take care and live to the fullest. Bye.